What's going on, y'all? Taylor here with y'all 106.7, broadcasting from the Red Wing Shoe Studio. And today we're joined by singer-songwriter Miss Maggie Rose. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
And I love your outfit. Like I said, it is so cute.
Thank you. You said it reminded you of Shania, which
Very
I'm totally okay with.
Very Shania Twain. Yeah, we play a ton of 90s here, but big day for you.
Yes.
I mean, do you want to tell them? Do you want me to tell them what just happened?
Yeah, we can tell them together. I just found out moments before I got here that I'm a Grammy nominee.
Grammy nominee.
My album, No One Gets Out Alive, was nominated for Best Americana Album of the Year, which is, I think I'm still processing it for sure, because it was just such a journey to put this record together. And it's had already, I think, lots of lives. So this feels like just a really big, fresh dose of oxygen for this music. I'm excited.
Yeah, trying to process it. You said you went kind of like for a walk in nature this morning. You didn't want to watch the TV with the noms rolling in.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that I didn't believe that I'd secure the nomination, but I do. There must have been some like self-preservation effort there to go out in nature and just be with the trees, and grateful for all the things that I do have, and it will be there when I get home. But then, I had my phone just dinging constantly at a certain point. So I eventually did get the news in real time. And I think I was just crying the whole way home. I looked like a crazy person to people who were driving by me on Shelby Avenue.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big day for you.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever been to the Grammys?
I've not been to the Grammys, no. I've been on the board of the Nashville chapter for a couple years, and I'm really involved with a lot of things that the Recording Academy does outside of the awards shows, because there's a lot that we're involved in, but this will be my first time at the Grammys.
And you're nominated.
Yes,
we're gonna get a pretty
That's
dress.
A good way to go for the first time.
I mean, right?
Right,
That's so great. Well, so tell me about this record. How long did it take you? How long did you accumulate these songs and writing them? And just tell me about the process.
So the record was actually recorded at this point probably 2 years ago. And I wrote a lot of these songs within a pretty concise amount of time, like 6 months. I was just in this creative mode, processing a lot of healing. I had lost some people close to me, some friendships just couldn't really sustain the pressure of the pandemic, I think. And, just getting older and moving forward with the things that you don't need, and also being really grateful for life and not waiting for all those circumstances to be perfect before you go ahead and tackle those big goals. I think we can, kind of talk ourselves out of our best ideas. And this whole record was about going for it. So it's called No One Gets Out Alive. And I wrote the title track with Natalie Hemby and Sunny Sweeney, who are two friends of mine. And I think I had this title kind of rolling around for a while, and it sounds really scary on its own. But that whole day we were just exchanging stories about our career and great trips we'd been on and trips we wanted to take and things we wanted to do. And it was just sort of a reflection of the urgency of life being in session. And all those other songs were kind of written in that same stream to process and heal and ultimately celebrate just how great it is to be here on this earth.
Absolutely. And it's relatable, it's vulnerable, it's intimate, and I think that's why your fans are connecting with it so much, because you can hear that rawness in your voice when you're singing it, and it's emotional, and it's just beautiful.
It was cool to take a lot of these songs from, if I played you the work tape of the day I wrote them, some of them are very kind of folksy or quiet or reserved, and then we take it, the second phase of developing these songs was taking it to this incredible band, and my friend Ben Tanner produced it, and then they just totally blossomed into this bigger thing, to even where I was almost like, whoa, is this too big? Are we going too far? And everyone around me reassured me. They're like, that's what this project's about. It's about going for it. So
yeah,
like have that big live and let die moment. And we put all these orchestral arrangements on it too. And I think it's just kind of about, really leaning into something if you believe in it. So hopefully that encourages people to do the same.
And even just what you said about the timing doesn't have to be perfect. You know, everything doesn't have to align for you to achieve your goals.
Right.
And so.
Yeah. I think, you know, as a woman in the music industry, there's a lot of things that I've allowed this industry to dictate about just how I plan my life. And you kind of realize after a while, we all go through these different things. We lose people close to us, or opportunities don't pan out. Like, you're going to do it anyway if it's what you love.
Mm-hmm. And no one gets out alive.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
Let's just live it up. Well, Rolling Stone wrote about your album too. That's really cool.
That was very cool. Yeah.
You're just having a lot of cool moments this year.
It's been a big year.
Yeah.
And there's also been, you know, a lot of heartbreak surrounding the record too. I released it with a label that, you know, I ended up moving on from very quickly. And I felt like the music's life was kind of over and the growth of it was so stunted. But I believe that, you know, music does live on no matter what entity is surrounding it. And I got that music back and was able to find a new home for it and keep pushing forward. So today feels, you know, like some good validation of I should have stuck to my guns and believed in this music and continued, even though some behind the scenes things happened that could be discouraging.
And you kept at it. So and now you have a Grammy nom. So that's so great. Are you going to be playing any of these songs live on Monday night at Chiefs, November 11th? You have a show there, but it also saw that you have a podcast. So tell me about this.
The podcast, we just launched it last month. I used to, I started from the pandemic. I've done probably 4 seasons of this podcast where I interview all these amazing women in the industry. I've had Melissa Etheridge on, and I've had Nancy Wilson from Heart, and Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's, and Allison Russell, and just all these incredible Jewel. But we did it over Zoom, which was fun, and these conversations would be super wide-ranging. And I wanted to take a little hiatus while I put this music out, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to reformat the podcast. And since I really started it because I was craving that live interaction, I figured let's do it in front of a live audience. You know, I think the spontaneity that encourages too, with people watching and listening, is pretty special. And there's also a musical component to it as well. So last month we had Grace Bowers on, and she's like this incredible guitar virtuoso who's also got some great original music, and I opened with a few of my songs. We have like a 30-40 minute conversation that covers, you know, I'm kind of ready to go wherever my guests want to go. And then we close with them playing a few songs of their own, and my band backs them up. And it's just kind of a cool.
Sounds so like one of a kind. When you get live music, you get that live guest experience. Are you going to like take questions from the audience as well for the podcast? Or
we did a little bit last week. I think, you know, I always love the fact that we have a crowd there to ask questions, because oftentimes in the previous format, I'd get questions submitted that I'd be like, oh, I wish I was able to ask that. So it's a cool opportunity to incorporate that.
Well, we're excited.
Yeah, and that space is so cool. It's, you know, downtown Broadway and Chiefs, and there's all this crazy chaos outside and bachelor parties, but then you get into the steeple room.
Yeah, the neon steeple.
And it's like a little mini Ryman, and you just feel totally isolated in the best way. And you get all this foot traffic of people who are already downtown on Broadway that want to come in and catch the show. And I just think it's a really cool way to reach a bigger audience and also prop up some of my favorite artists.
Yeah, it's a great space. And I think downtown needed something like that. You're right. It's like a mini ramen. And so it just drowns out the noise when you're in there on that floor with the church.
Eric did a good job with that whole building.
So
I think
great.
you can have, depending on whatever mood you're in, you can just go
find a floor for it. Yeah.
I want to party. All right, I want some songwriting, quiet reflection. Yeah. I want to dance. Like, I think
it's got everything.
Pretty sweet.
Well, speaking of cool venues, you've played the Opry 100 times, the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
100 times, girl.
I know. I think we're at like 110 now. I have a pretty it's definitely one of those things that's important enough you want to keep a tally.
They keep wanting you to come back.
They do.
You must be doing a good job.
I try. It's one of those spaces where, even if you've been there a million times, there's such a sanctity about that space that, like, you can't help but get a little nervous. And I think that's good energy that you just want to channel and make the best of. But you're like, okay, all these people have been here before me. I don't want to mess this up. And, I'm part of this community now. So it's cool to see how the Opry has continued to evolve too, because my music might not be like a bullseye for what you would think you'd hear at the Grand Ole Opry, but I think they're so good about incorporating music within their community that's representative of what's going on in Nashville too, but also has that reverence for songwriting.
Yeah. Do you remember stepping in the circle for the first time? What that felt like? Were you emotional?
Very. And I was so nervous. I almost wish I could go back and relive the day and just slow it down a little bit. And they also were kind enough to let me have like 30 guests backstage, which is definitely exceeding the number that they want their performers to stay within. But I had a single out at the time called I Ain't Your Mama, and I remember what I was wearing, and just the whole day was really special. And I felt like I'm grateful that I knew the significance of what it meant to be invited into the circle. Yeah. And they think really hard about who they extend that invitation to, because I think you do get asked back, and you are part of something once you're invited.
Well, who did you grow up listening to? Because you mentioned, some of the legendary performers that have played in the circle before you. We talked about Shania Twain a little bit. But with you being Americana, I would love to know who you grew up kind of being inspired by.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Americana has such a broad stroke. Like, there's rock and soul in my music. And I like that Americana does cast a wide net musically. But I also love, Shania Twain. And I feel like I was very lucky to come up during a time where there were all these kind of divas that were just at the top of the game. And the Chicks, Faith Hill, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, like these big vocalists were the ones who were topping the charts. So I think as a vocalist myself, it was cool to see that be celebrated so much. But I also love Mary Chapin Carpenter and her ability to craft a song. I think she has a way with words. It's really all her own. And Lucinda Williams and Aretha Franklin, I think, as a writer and a singer. So yeah, just I was lucky to grow up in a house where good music was always playing.
Well, I love that. I mean, first of all, you named half of the artists that we play here on Y'all 106.7, but also, the Aretha Franklin and the Mariah Carey. And I think that you said it best with Americana casting a wide net. You can kind of encompass all these different elements of music and your inspirations, and makes the sound that you have today.
Thank you. And it's just very human music. Like, I have a really great band, and they're super tight. And I think that you can just hear it and tell that there's an energy and a chemistry happening between a group of people that are communicating through music and making it together. And I think that transfers to the audience as well. Well,
you're a busy girl. You said you have to record a live album today or something. What are you recording after this?
Yes, we're going to Welcome to 1979. It's this really cool studio in Nashville, and we're recording a lot of songs from No One Gets Out Alive straight to vinyl in front of an audience. So the margin for error is non-existent, but I think that's what's going to make it so special. Like, I think it's pressed to wax, like, as we're going down our list of songs. But it'll be really fun, and I think a truly special edition version of these songs for people who've been living with this album since it came out in April.
It just hits different on vinyl. Every song does. So thank you for keeping that alive. I wish more artists did that.
I think it's fun to make it an event. Like, you can't just let a vinyl play and walk away. You have to be back there to flip the record, and you're sort of, it's the interaction of it. I think is what makes people love putting vinyl together, because sequencing is so important, and you have to think about a lot of physical aspects of the wax too, and how you arrange the songs for the fidelity of the sound, and nerdy fun stuff that I think it's fun to pay attention to.
Well, that's exciting. I know that you got to get out of here, so we will try to wrap it up. Tell me what 2025 looks like for you.
Well,
other than going to the Grammy.
We're going to start it off. I'm putting a new record together. I have some songs that I'm releasing from now until December that will complete like a deluxe version of No One Gets Out Alive. And I have a new home with Virgin Music Group with One Riot, and we are going to put some music out in the spring, and there's a really fun tour that's on the horizon that will start in July that I'm hoping we're going to be able to talk about soon.
Announce soon. Yeah. You can only say so much. You heard the exclusive here, though. There is a tour happening. So
yes.
Tour,
we
Grammys.
will be busy. Yeah.
New vinyl album for No One Gets Out Alive, and another new album that we can't say too much about, but so excited. Can't wait to see your career just continue to soar. Is the best way to keep up with you on Instagram, social media?
The best way people can keep up with me is I am Maggie Rose on all my socials, and MaggieRoseMusic.com.
Maggie Rose Music. Y'all 1067, check her out at Chiefs on Broadway Monday, November 11th.